And Nation, it is day 66. We have 5 days to go. Yes, that's right, 5 days to go. And a reminder, if you've not booked your scan, please do so ASAP, www.calendly.com/train-on-main. Book your scan. There's a lot of you who still have not booked your scan, so make sure you do so. Over the last couple of days, I've been talking about why extreme calorie deprivation or yo-yo dieting, which tends to, that is in essence what yo-yo dieting is. It's usually these bouts of periods of extreme low calorie deficit. I perhaps should have qualified that in the beginning. Why yo-yo dieting or periods of extreme low calories makes you fatter over time. And one thing that I want to make clear here is that dieting in and of itself doesn't make you fat. Restricting your calories doesn't make you fat. Obviously, we know that. It's the implications from the low calorie dieting, meaning it's the metabolic modifications, or I should say, not modifications, adaptations. The metabolic adaptations that happen from following low calories. And this is specifically why well, first of all, I start you at a reasonable amount of calories, and then I only lower them by a small amount. Lower them by about 12%. Okay, with the exception of if there's a couple of you maybe that I made some changes just due to history or whatnot. So why not just have lower calories? Because you will lose more fat. And of course, I went through a number of reasons, and a lot of them were obvious. Like, for example, if calories are too low, you're not going to feel good. It's certainly not going to be sustainable because you're not going to feel good. You're not going to have energy. You're not going to have productive workouts. You're not going to be able to maintain it for a very long time. It's just not sustainable. Of course, I mentioned the downregulation of certain metabolic markers, whether it's hormones, ghrelin, leptin, so ghrelin going up, leptin going down. Thyroid hormone. If you don't know what I'm talking about, please watch the videos prior to this. We have lower testosterone, increased cortisol, and there are other factors as well. I'm sure there's factors here that we don't know, but there's probably a lot of factors that we don't know about as of yet. And these are all problems when I will say especially when we follow super low calorie diets. All of this happens to some degree when we go through dieting. But the key in all this is to be slow and steady to minimize these metabolic adaptations. The last thing we want to do is to set the body up for major fat regain. That's not what we want to do. We don't want to lower the body's set point, so to speak. We want to lose as much fat as we can, as much as we reasonably can, while maintaining as many calories as possible. So we've always got to think long term. If you just think short term, you're going to be in trouble. Now, one thing I failed to mention in some of these adaptations, and I'm sure there's probably some others too that I know about that I just haven't put in my list. Number 7 is an increase in insulin receptivity on the fat cells. That means the fat cells become they are more prone to, just think of it as they want to gain more fat after the diet is over. Or they are more apt to wanting to enlarge after the dieting phase. So again, when we create that energy deficit, so we've got our maintenance here, all of our energy that we're expending for the day, what are those things that contribute to it? Well, in essence, simply put, non-exercise activity, right? Just the daily things that you do, the energy you expend doing your daily tasks. Non-exercise activity, we've got thermic effective food, the amount of energy it takes to digest food. We've got exercise activity, the amount of energy we expend doing exercise, and of course, our metabolic rate, our basal metabolic rate, the amount of energy it takes to keep the lights on. Okay, that's a very simplistic way. We can break it down even into more chunks, but that's simplistically the 4 things. And in fact, all of these things, and I didn't say this, but all 4 of these things get negatively impacted, including thermic effective food, when we go through calorie deprivation. And of course, the greater the calorie deprivation and the longer that we do that, the more we enhance these metabolic adaptations that are only going to make us fatter when we reintroduce calories. So we need to be very, very careful with this. So we don't want to have a major energy gap. So we don't want to have energy expenditure being here, and then all of a sudden your food intake is down here. So when you walked into this challenge, I don't think you were going through a phase where you were gaining weight or losing weight. Probably not. You were somewhere around homeostasis with your weight. You were just sitting even flush, right? You're on average, your calories were maintaining your body weight. And then what we did is we implemented a calorie deficit. We don't want to do too much of a calorie deficit, because when we create that calorie deficit, all the body wants to do right away, and it's not going to do this right away, but what it wants to do is it wants to bridge that gap. It wants to close it. It wants to take everything it can and slow it down. Whether it's the amount of energy you expend doing your daily tasks, whether it's the thermic effect of food, whether it's lowering your metabolism via some of these things like thyroid hormone, etc. So we want to minimize these modifications, all right? And with yo-yo dieting or extreme calorie deprivation over time, this is what we exacerbate. We exacerbate all these things, and then the dieting ends and you're super hungry, and so what do? You shoot your calories back up, but metabolically speaking, you're way down here. And then you just set up. You're set up for major fat regain. And this is something that I try to hammer home with all my fit and tenors from in the past. It's very, very hard to get people to understand this and to appreciate this. But fat loss, and I don't even really want to call it fat loss, just managing your body composition over time is an ongoing thing, and you do want to go through periods where you reintroduce calories. You want to be able to, hopefully through time, be able to eat more calories and maintain your body weight. So let's just say your body fat is where it is today, and you're eating X amount of calories. We really want to get to the point where at some point in the future, we can eat more calories and have the same body composition. Have the same body composition. If we do that, and if we have more food to work with, we have more food to work with. We have more, like, you can't take away, you can't diet from a diet, right? I mean, you're just gonna, it's gonna be, aside from physical anguish, it's gonna be mental anguish. Okay, and it's not healthy, all right? So some key takeaways here. We want to maximize energy inefficiency. When it comes to diet in general, we want to maximize energy inefficiency. We want to diet on as many calories as possible. When we go through a calorie deprivation, which you are right now, not a major one, but you are going through one right now, we want to slowly add calories back into your diet, and this will come when we talk about your when the challenge is done. Okay, we've got your exit strategy. And I want to remind you that slow and steady wins the race. The slower you lose weight, and I realize we have a big target in this, okay? We do have a big target in this, but generally speaking, slow and steady wins the race. The slower you lose body fat, the better off you will be. The better off you will be in the long term, okay? But people can't even appreciate that. And this is even very reasonable. Losing half a pound of body fat per week. I mean, just think about that. Over time, in a year, that's 26 pounds, right? Of course, in this challenge, we have people losing much more than this. Okay, all right, message of the day. I still feel like there's more I'm gonna say on this, so I might talk maybe part 4 tomorrow, because I feel like I'm just packing in a lot. Okay, on this day 66, your mind is like a garden. You need to nurture it with positivity. How many of you have this nagging voice in the back of your head that tears you down? I know I do. I have it more than I realize. And I don't know why. And I'm sure that many of you, maybe all of you, at least to some degree or another, have this. So we need to be very, very conscious of this. We need to remind ourselves to not do this, to feed our thoughts, to fight any of this chatter that we have in the back of our minds. We need to reinforce it with the opposite type of chatter, because we deserve that, right? We do, of course. Your mind is like a garden. You've got to nurture it with positivity. And you'll be way more successful in all your endeavors if you reinforce your mind with positive, reassuring, self-promoting messages, right? All right, positive energy. I was going to say positivity. Positive energy, positive vibes, believe in yourself, and for the love of God, give some gratitude, and I'll talk to you all tomorrow. See you guys.